patents that rely on helicopters, bear trap and other similar systems have strategic importance. In 2014, the Japanese government expressed concerns about a French company that sold their system to China. A few years later, in 2017, Japan developed the first system that could automatically land a helicopter on a moving ship. This system relies on GPS navigation to get close to the ship. Then, the laser sensors are activated on both vessels, which calculate the relative position of the helicopter to the moving ship with an error range of just a few inches. This allows the helicopter to land safely and automatically. All this said, there are scenarios under which helicopters cannot land on the flight deck, whether it's a helicopter malfunction or an issue on the flight deck. Sadly, there have been attempted landings that have resulted in fatalities. While emergencies cannot always be prevented, emergency drills can increase the odds of survival. The first alternative to landing on the ship is to land somewhere else. Of course, this may not always be possible, but since helicopters can be refueled from the ship while still airborne, the refueling can increase the helicopter's range to its maximum, which in some cases can provide an alternative landing area somewhere else. Helicopter in-flight refueling, or HIFR, begins when the helicopter lowers a bag attached to a cable onto the flight deck. The refueling crew then attach the fuel hose to the cable, which in turn is hoisted back onto the heli and hooked up to the fuel tank. Once fueling is done, the hose is lowered and the helicopter flies away. In case you're wondering why there was a bag attached to the cable, the bag is used to pull up a fuel sample that is visually inspected by the flight crew for fuel contaminants. The weight of the bag also prevents the hoist cable from swinging around as it's being lowered onto the flight deck. When landing on a ship is not possible, the second option is to land on water. This is what happened during a replenishment mission where a CH-46 Sea Knight experienced an engine failure over the deck of USNS Spica. The pilot immediately reacted by releasing the load and clearing the deck. Next, by relying on auto-rotation, the pilot was able to successfully land the helicopter on water. The Sea Knight capsized to the right as the crew escaped the fast-sinking vehicle. Everyone made it out alive, thanks to the emergency egress training that the crew would have previously received. This was also one of the first times that HEATS bottles were used by the helicopter crew in a real-life emergency. Finally, the third emergency option, and this is quite a rare one. But what do you do when multiple helicopters have to land on a ship and there's only room for one? This situation in fact came up when the United States was evacuating its troops from Vietnam. As the evacuation fleet was sailing away, several South Vietnamese helicopters approached the ship and were packed with refugees who were trying to escape. In a humanitarian effort, the helicopters were allowed to land, one at a time. That's right, after each landing, the crew skidded the helicopter off the ship to make room for the next chopper to land. In some cases, the pilot dropped off their passengers, then crash-landed in water near the ship to be rescued. But if you think this was impressive, which it was, I should remind you that during these evacuations, a Cessna 01 dropped a note on the deck of the American aircraft carrier USS Midway. The note read, "Can you move these helicopters to the other side? I can land on your runway. I can fly 1 hour more. We have enough time to move. Please rescue me. Major Buong, wife and 5 child." That was a Vietnamese pilot and his family. Midway's commanding officer ordered the clearing of the landing area, where an estimated $10 million worth of UH-1 Huey helicopters were pushed overboard. Major Buong safely touched down, becoming the first South Vietnamese Air Force fixed-wing pilot to ever land on a carrier. Another Cessna 01 was also recovered by USS Midway later that afternoon. If you'd like to talk to us live, consider joining our Discord server, where we do Q&As. Share your suggestions and video ideas with us and meet other fans. You don't want to miss the game nights, because they're coming soon. See the top comment for more info.